I do want to introduce our guest for today is Craig Smith, rapper, former rapper and comedian based out of Chicago and currently resides in Madison, Wisconsin. He's an up and coming comedian who it has. He's very socially conscious in his work and he's an overall great guy. So I'm super excited that we're going to be talking with him um, now.
Nice.
um, all right, guys. First and foremost, I want to let me thank Craig Smith for joining us today on the podcast, talking about him, his journey, what's 2023 is looking like. I'm super excited for him to be onto the podcast. Let's welcome Craig Smith.
Oh man,
Yeah.
appreciate
Welcome,
y'all.
welcome, welcome,
Appreciate
brother.
y'all having me.
Salutation,
Thank y'all.
salutation.
Hey, yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey,
What?
good to be here. Good to be here, man.
Us.
I'm happy y'all having me. I appreciate it. You know, like I said earlier, I don't get asked to do this a lot, so it's really making me feel special.
Hey, because hey, you know what? We gotta give homage to our comedians, and especially Sarah. You're a Chicago native, just like Keen of all
Yeah,
Shout
of them.
down.
Shout town, nigga.
yeah.
Um,
Southside.
Southside all day. But but what's interesting is that you moved to Madison. You're originally from Chicago, but you moved to Madison, Wisconsin when you were 20. And in 7 years of that time, you actually was a rapper. You went by the name Sincere Life.
Yeah, yeah. For Yeah, that was the actually like the third name that I settled upon, but I'm glad I used that name because the first one was real silly. And yeah, started rapping up here. Well, started rapping in eighth grade. Was doing that for a long time, but like doing it seriously up here as far as studio time, doing shows and everything. Made it to opening for like the acts coming to tour, Freddie Gibbs, Talib Kweli, Yellow Wolf one time to name. Oh, Bone Thugs and Harmony, like I think
What?
twice. Yeah, like they came here like
Nice.
2 years in a row back to back. I think I don't know if they had something to do with it or just the dude I was working with, but yeah,
That's
that
what's
was
up.
pretty
That's
cool
what's
for
up.
a long time. Put out music, and then I got old.
He said, I got old, I'm done.
You said too old to be rapping?
Man, the young man's game. It got too dangerous.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
it looks
buddy.
like you had started 5 years ago with the comedy. So you started on at open mics weekly with comedy on State Street, which is also known for a lot of our high profile comedians that come to the state. I think Trevor Noah was here. You had Dose Salon, basically almost the entire uh, the Daily Show
Yeah.
was on there. So a lot of
Nice.
notable
Nice.
people in that platform. And during this time, you also was on Madison Funniest Competition. You made it to top five in 2019. You also hosted shows for what's it, Dan
Soda.
Soder. Just kidding. You also you have your own podcast, Kill Tony podcast.
Nah, that's the podcast that I was on for the like open mic thing. That's Tony Hinchcliffe podcast. My podcast is called I'm Almost Joking with
I'm
me and
almost
my
joking.
guy Queef. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Nice.
So
Nice.
how often do you do Kill Tony podcast?
Well, they they is a pretty popular podcast. That's Tony Hinchcliffe. He's a pretty popular comic, and what he does is usually every Monday in LA. It started out that way. He would have people in the. You put your name in the bucket when you come in. You watching. It's a big crowd watching the show, and it's like an open mic setting where you got him and three other national comics like that's touring, that's professional headliners. They judging, and then you get if your name get called a local comic or open mic comic get to go up there for 1 minute, do a minute of jokes, and then they judge it. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. You get a little interview after, and you get a lot of exposure on this platform because they record everything, put it on YouTube, and then
Mhm.
people hear the podcast and all of that. And a lot of people got made out of that as far as like getting noticed, being noticed by other comics and being like taken on the road and stuff. And now some of them is headlining shows. So
Mm.
it's a lot of like progress being made from there. And one time they came through to Madison And that was the one time actually they came through to Madison. They probably stopped through Milwaukee a lot. They came through Madison one year, and I got lucky enough to get called up there on stage. And yeah, I did pretty good. Had a pretty good interview. It's on YouTube. It's on my YouTube if people want to go watch it. So yeah, now I only got to do it once, but he was real cool, and meeting him was dope. And he, talked to me after for a little while, and that's always good getting pieces of information and sort of like validation or kind of that word that you hear when you try and need that push to keep going. Yeah, that was cool to get that from him, when I was on that podcast.
Nice.
Nice.
So,
Very nice.
I know that you do have videos on YouTube. What is your YouTube channel, just for the audience to know?
YouTube.com/sincere life7.
There you go. Want to
Yeah,
make sure
it's still
plug
it's still my rap name, but I don't want to give up Sincere Life and start doing, comedian Craig Smith, and then somebody takes Sincere Life. So I got to keep the name up there for some reason.
Ain't nothing wrong.
That's
I
right.
mean, you already built
Snatch
up
it before they do.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
already built up a
Yeah.
good audience, so it's just like you
Yeah.
kind of want to keep it more consistent.
Yeah, Sincere Life might blow up one day. You never know.
Exactly.
You never know. You never know.
I mean, you've had a very, very nice career in comedy. And with almost joking, Tom, talk to me about your platform for that one. What is the premise of that podcast?
Well, when I'm almost joking, that's me and my friend Queese. When I first moved up here, I was working at Game Crazy. It's a video game store. He used to come through that, and he was like kind of one of the first Black people I met in my age range who kind of, I don't want to say thought the same, but I was like got cool with over time, just over music and discussing stuff like that. And so I known him for a long time. Always knew he's very outgoing and stuff. So I always knew he would be good on the podcast. But at first he didn't want to do it. He eventually, got together with me. We started doing one together up at Radio 22. Shout out to Corey Dash Dub. He at his studio. So we recorded there, and yeah, we 58 episodes in, and it's been going good since we started. Now, I think what we mainly do is discuss. It's fun because now I had a podcast at first, but it was like with two white people, so you can't really.
So with two white people, though.
Yeah, now they was comics. Shout out to them. It was a good podcast. I had fun. Nick Hart, Ivy Lindsay, and then Samira Suomi. So shout out to them. But it's just different, when you can kind of like talk about our stuff with our people. So it was just more in line with stuff I wanted to do. And or stuff that I could touch on. So we do get to talk about stuff in the culture, a lot of men and women topics and stuff. And it's sometimes we agree, but I find it a lot better when we both have a different opinion on something, and then we can talk and argue about that. So it's one of those type of shows. We try not to stay on too much topical stuff because we don't want to date the podcast if people ever go back and listen. But sometimes something will come up on Twitter or something, a debate or a tweet that I see, and I'm like, oh, I want to talk about that. It was one, just for instance, it was one discussion I seen, and it was like a lady tweeted, if I'm ever pregnant and I'm having like complications or whatever, save me, not the baby, right? And people was down there in the comments getting mad and arguing, and there was dudes saying like, nah, that's selfish, blah, blah, blah. And so we took that to the podcast and discussed that or whatever. And my side was pretty much, my side was pretty much, save my wife. I can make another baby.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
Save my wife. Yeah. But, his was the opposite. So that was a good conversation to have and go back and forth with. So we do a lot of stuff like that on the podcast.
Nice. Now, I know that with what's interesting right now, I don't know if you've seen the talks with Faison Love, where he was dissing Cat Williams.
What?
Yeah, so it was kind of
Was it Cat Williams or was it Country Wayne with the skits? I don't know if I'm up on the Faison Cat Williams beef.
This one recently was Cat Williams 6 days ago.
Okay, I'm not up on this beef. I don't know.
What did he say?
Oh, he said that basically he's trying to redefine what is a great comedian. So a great comedian in his eyes is someone who not only they had to have their own show, they had to sold out arenas and those type of things is what qualify as a good comedian. But he felt that Cat Williams is basic, like he's overrated. Like he
Wow.
said, he literally went in on him on Comedy Hype. If you look at the video on YouTube, he was going all
No
the way
way.
in. So they
Faison.
Faison was talking bad, like crap about him. I was just like, wow. And then Cat Williams went hard on him too.
Oh,
I was
you
just
know
like,
he
As he
was.
should.
he did.
As he
Like
should. Yeah.
it's like, how are you gonna sit here and I'm not trying to be funny, but how can you sit here and talk about this man when you haven't had anything in over 20 years yourself?
I was thinking that.
Look, now
He's trying to do some things recently, but you haven't really done
I
it.
ain't seen nothing from him since couples retreat.
yeah. And he was good in that actually.
And he was good.
I actually like Faison in most of the stuff that he do, but like
Yeah, me too.
if we being real, first of all, I ain't qualified to speak on neither one of these men, but I will say this: both of them is great and they all right.
Yes.
But
That's
if we
what I
just
say.
talking,
Yeah, absolutely.
but if we talking objectively about this situation and we isolating just they beefing what he's saying about him, if you what he's talking about, like comedy, I know we're not talking about
Comedy.
stand up. He's talking about stand up. If he's talking about stand up and comedy, I ain't never seen Faison Love special. I ain't never seen
I
a
have never
five,
seen
10
that
minute
either.
clip of a joke over him on stage.
I've never
And he
seen that
probably
either.
have them, but I've never seen it. And we know Cat Williams is certified on that stage no matter what he do. And no matter what he's done, everybody gonna say Cat Williams is one of the ones. So that's just I don't even know why you would even say that. Plus, we know that Faison is a certified hater. All he do is hate.
Is he?
Like
He do hate on everybody.
he hated on Country Wayne like they can't be getting that much money. Man, let me tell you how the money work. The money work, you do a movie, you get residuals, and when you get your show popping, that's how you get money. Ain't no money on the internet. He ain't got no concept of ads, YouTube revenue.
Wow.
He not even trying to learn or none of that. He's just like, that's fake money that they doing. Country Wayne ain't getting no money. Yeah, and they have to come, the people, Country Wayne ain't have, this how you know you get money. Country Wayne ain't said nothing. Everybody that he's employing is like, hey, bro, I was going trying to get movies. I started doing skits with Country Wayne on Instagram. I was like, I'm good. I'm chilling. I don't really need, like, I'm acting, I'm getting paid, and I'm famous. People know me. I wake up and watch them things every morning.
Mm-hmm.
So he had some real money in there, but he just didn't know about it. So yeah, Faison he just be hating, man, and he be looking for attention. Sometimes it might be trolling, but yeah, Cat Williams got every right to go back now, and he gonna get all the jokes now.
Yeah.
You know, everything.
All the jokes. All the jokes.
Pierre also weighed in on it, but he was also but he gave a similar sentiment though. He was like, he believed that both men are great, but it's just kind of interesting. They asked him though.
Well, Pierre is Comedy Hype's resident legendary comedian. So Comedy Hype is just that. They just hype up the beefs in comedy. They whatever they can latch attention to. They can also highlight good stuff. I've seen interviews with Richard Pryor Bodyguard and Paul Mooney this and all like they did interviews like that before. But for the most part, they in the internet streets, they in the content game. And we all know once you're getting in the content game and once you see how that money works, you start your morals get to bending a little bit. And I'm not even mad at them because they're not really doing nothing bad. I wouldn't know about the beef or nothing. And people might, if it's out there, people might want to know about the beef. They the ones that get the attention. We click on it. Hey, get your money. If they was up there perpetuating it and making the super salacious with titles and all of that, that'd be a different thing. So right now, cool. They didn't start off that way, but I get how it goes. So Pierre being the guy that knows these comics and did comedy with them for all these years, probably on their pay world, working with them, got a podcast with them, he on their channel. He got an incentive to, every time they got something to say, hey, what you think about this? What you think about this?
Right.
Which is true.
Sometimes they hit Capone up too. Shout out to Capone. We know, when we know what Capone stand, we know he a real one. So
yeah,
I don't think they're getting fake motherfuckers. It's just that's the level that they on right now. Maybe later on down the line in the future, they'll get some more, certified people. But right now, they just playing the content game and doing what they got to do to stay relevant. Everybody, ain't nobody gonna click on the positivity. Hey, this person's doing great right now.
No, they don't do that. And